Good day, everyone. Our presentation will focus on Republic Act number 11313, also known as Safe Spaces Act. So this landmark legislation was approved on April 17, 2018, significantly expand the scope of the previous Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995, or RA 7877. So RA 11313 goes beyond the previous law by aiming to uphold human dignity and rights. So the act prioritizes valuing the dignity of every person and guaranteeing full respect for their human rights. So this is a fundamental shift, moving beyond simply addressing harassment in specific power dynamics. Second is address inequality and safety concerns. It directly addresses issue of equality, security, and safety for both men and women. Crucially, this protection extends beyond private settings to encompass public spaces, online interactions, workplaces, and educational institutions. So this broader scope recognizes that harassment can occur anywhere and that everyone deserves a safe space environment. So the Safe Space Act of RA 11313 defines public spaces. So very broadly to ensure in comprehensive protection against gender-based sexual harassment. It is not limited to just streets. It is not limited to just streets, parks. The Act recognizes the harassment can occur in many different environments. So specifically, the public spaces under RA 11313 refers to traditional public areas, spaces serving public function, public transportation, and recreational values. So this expansive definition underscores the Act commitments to creating safe space for everyone, regardless of locations. So the intent is to address gender-based sexual harassment wherever it may occur, ensuring that no place is exempt from law's protections. So gender-based sexual harassment. So as we have read earlier, it is not confined to a single location. It can happen in a variety of settings, highlighting the pervasive nature of this issue. So the Safe Space Act recognizes this reality and addresses gender-based sexual harassment in several key areas. So number one is in the street and public spaces. So these include parks, sidewalks, and other public areas where individuals may be vulnerable to harassment. And second is the privately owned places on open to public. So this covers businesses, establishment open to public, and emphasizing the responsibility of these entities to provide safe environments. And public utility vehicles, or PUV, the Act acknowledges the vulnerability of individuals in public transportation and provides specific protection. Next is workplaces or workplace. The Act addresses gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace, recognizing the power dynamics and potential for abuse in professional settings. Educational and training institution. The Act highlights the need for safe learning environments and free from harassment. Next, and online. The Act recognizes the increasing prevalence of online harassment and extends its protection to digital spaces. And last is the street public spaces committed by minor, or still includes parks, sidewalks, and other public areas where individual may be vulnerable to harassment. So the Act specifically addresses harassment committed by minor in these spaces. So gender-based streets and public spaces sexual harassments. So in this section, focus on definition of gender-based sexual harassment as it applies specifically to streets and public spaces under Republic Act 11313, the Safe Space Act. So the law defines gender-based sexual harassment in these areas as any unwanted and uninvited sexual action or remarks against any person, regardless of the motive for committing such action or remarks. This broad definition means that even seemingly innocuous action can be considered gender-based sexual harassment if they are unwanted and uninvited. The focus is on the victim's experience and their right to feel safe in public spaces. So here are some examples. The verbal harassment. So the catcalling, wolf whistling, invitation, and the use of misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic, and sexist slurs. So these are forms of verbal abuse that create hostile and unsafe environments. Second is persistent uninvited comments. Persistent uninvited comments or gesture about person appearance. So the persistence of these comments, even if seemingly minor individually, constitutes harassment. Next is unwanted attention. So relentless request for personal details. Repeatedly asking for personal information without consent is a form of harassment. Sexual remarks, statement of sexual comments and suggestions. So making unwanted sexual comments or suggestions regardless of the context constitute harassment or gender-based sexual harassment. So another example is lewd sexual action, public masturbation or flashing of private parts, groping, making offensive body gestures towards someone, and other similar lewd sexual action. So these actions are explicitly prohibited and constitute serious violation. Next is threatening advances. Any advances, whether verbal or physical, that are unwanted and threaten one's sense of personal space and physically safety. This includes cursing, leering, intrusive gazing, and taunting. The threat to ensure safety is a key element here. So next is persistent sexual harassment. Persistent telling of sexual jokes or use of sexual names. The persistence of this action, even if seemingly minor individually, constitute harassment. Last is stalking. Repeatedly following, observing, and contacting someone without their consent, causing them for fear or distress. Stalking is a serious form of harassment that can have significantly psychological impact. These examples highlights the diverse ways of gender-based sexual harassment can manifest. The Safe Space Act aims to create safe and respectful environment for everyone by addressing these behaviors. So, if you are experienced any of these, you are encouraged to report them. So the catcalling is a form of gender-based sexual harassment explicitly addressed by the Safe Space Act. So it refers to unwanted remarks directed towards a person, commonly in the form of wolf whistling and other verbally abused comments. So these remarks are often homophobic. So it express fear, hatred, or aversion towards LGBTQ individuals. Next is misogynistics. That's expressing hatred, contempt, or prejudice toward women. Sexist, showing prejudice or discrimination based on sex. And lastly is transphobic, expressing fear, hatred, or aversion towards transgender or gender non-conforming individuals. So catcalling creates an unsafe and uncomfortable environment for the targeted individual. So the comments are unwanted and uninvited, violating the right to feel safe and secure in public spaces. The illustration on the slide depicts the feeling of being harassed, and targeted by such unwanted attention. So under RA 11313, catcalling is considered a form of gender-based sexual harassment and is subject to penalties. So stalking is a serious form of gender-based sexual harassment addressed by the Safe Space Act RA 11313. It is defined as conduct directed at a person that involved the repeated visual, physical proximity, non-consensual communication, or combination of these actions. So the key element is that the behavior causes or is likely to cause one, fear for safety, the victim fear for their own safety and the safety of others. So this fear is directed result on the stalker actions. And second is emotional distress. So the victim suffers significant emotional distress. The repeated unwanted attention and intrusion can cause significant psychological harm. So the image here is the image depict a scenario where a woman feels threatened and unsafe due to someone following her. This illustrates the feeling of vulnerability and fear that stalking can induce. So the RA 11313, stalking is a serious offense with significant penalties. So reflecting the gravity of this form of harassment, it's crucial to remember that stalking is not a harmless act. It can have severe and lasting consequences for the victim. So the key differences between the Safe Space Act or RA 11313 and Anti-Sexual Harassment Act of 1995 or RA 7877, RA 11313 significantly broadens the scope and application of protection against sexual harassment. So here's the comparison. So in the offender of Anti-Sexual Harassment Act or RA 7877, the offender has authority, influence, or moral ascendancy over the victim. So example is employer, manager, supervisor, or teacher, and etc. So while in the Safe Space Act, in the new law or RA 11313, offender can be any person. So while in the consent in Anti-Sexual Harassment Act is immaterial. Any sexual act or remarks is considered harassment if unwanted. While in Safe Space Act must be unwelcome or offensive to the victim. The focus is on the victim's experience. And the nature of harassment of Anti-Sexual Harassment Act, sexual favor demanded as condition of employment, promotion, or similar benefits. While the nature of harassment in Safe Space Act, sexual advances are unwelcome regardless of the context or power dynamics. The Safe Space Act expands protection against sexual harassment by removing the requirements of power imbalance between the offender and the victim. It also focuses on whether the act was unwelcome or offensive to the victim, rather than solely on whether it was a condition for employment or benefits. So this broader scope ensures more comprehensive protection against all forms of gender-based sexual harassment. That would be all. And the second part of this presentation would be talking about penalties, preventions, measures, and implementation, and will be discussed by Sir Vicente Garcia.
Hello, good day everyone. I am Johnny Bitaganso and I am going to continue the discussion under the topic of Republic Act 11313. Now, let's discuss about specific acts and penalties. Now, under Section 11, Paragraph A, acts such as cursing, wolf whistling, catcalling, leering, intrusive gazing, taunting, forcing, unwanted invitation, misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic, and sexist slur, persistent unwanted comments on one's appearance, relentless request for one's personal details such as name, contact, and social media details or destination, the use of words, gestures, or actions that ridicule on the basis of sex, gender, or sexual orientation, identity, or expression, including sexist, homophobic, and transphobic statements and slur, the persistent telling of sexual jokes, use of sexual names, comments, and demands, and any statements that has made invasion of on a person's personal space threatens the person's sense of. Okay, now the penalties. The penalties for the first offense is a fine of 1,000 pesos and community service of 12 hours inclusive of attendance to the gender sensitivity seminar. For the second offense, arresto minor or 6 days to 10 days or a fine of 3,000 pesos. Now for the third offense, arresto minor or imprisonment for 11 to 30 days and a fine of 10,000 pesos. Take note that gender sensitivity seminar to be conducted by the PNP in a coordination with the LGU and the PWC. Section 11, paragraph B. Specific acts includes making offensive body gestures at someone and exposing private parts for sexual gratification of the perpetrator with the effect of demeaning, harassing, threatening, or intimidating the offended party, including flashing of private parts, public masturbation, gooping, and similar lewd sexual actions. Now for the penalties, the first offense is a fine of 10,000 pesos and community service of 12 hours inclusive of attendance to a gender sensitivity seminar. For the second offense, arresto minor or imprisonment for 11 to 30 days or a fine of 15,000 pesos. For the third offense is arresto mayor or 1 month and 1 day imprisonment to 6 months and a fine of 20,000 pesos. Take note that gender sensitivity seminar to be conducted by the PNP in coordination with the LGU and the PCW. Now, under Section 11, Paragraph C, the specific acts includes stalking or any of the acts mentioned in Section 11, Paragraph A and B when accompanied by touching, pinching, or brushing against the body of the offended person, or any touching, pinching, or brushing against the genitalia, face, arms, anus, groin, breast, inner thigh, buttocks, or any part of the victim's body when not accompanied by an act mentioned in Section 11, Paragraph A and B. Now, the penalties for the first offense includes arresto minor or 11 days to 30 days imprisonment or a fine of 30,000 including attendance in a gender sensitivity seminar. For the second offense, arresto mayor or 1 month and 1 day to 6 months or a fine of 50,000 pesos. For the third offense is arresto mayor maximum or a fine of 100,000 pesos. Also, take note that gender sensitivity seminar to be conducted by the PNP in the coordination with the LGU and the PCW. Now, the prescriptive periods, the specific acts, offenses committed under Section 11, Paragraph A, Section 11, Paragraph B, Section 11, Paragraph C, the prescriptive period is 1 year, 3 years, and 10 years respectively. Section 12, or the gender-based online sexual harassment, is the prescriptive period is imprescriptible. So, meaning wala siya prescription. Now, in Section 16 and 21, the gender-based sexual harassment in workplace and in education and training institution, the prescriptive period is 5 years. Next is gender-based sexual harassment in restaurants and other privately owned places open to public. Now, what about in the place wherein almost all the people come and go ang mga tao? Now, like restaurants or in public places. Now, how do we deal with that sexual harassment? So other privately owned place open to public shall adopt a zero tolerance policy against gender-based streets and public space sexual harassment. Obliged to provide assistance to victims by coordinating with local police authorities immediately after GBSH is reported. Then making CCTV footage available when ordered by the court. Install clearly visible warning signs against GBSH SG may be deputized to apprehend perpetrators caught in flagrante delicto. So, meaning the restaurants should immediately cooperate and coordinate with the local authorities, no, against these violations. No. So, letter A, measures to prevent the occurrence of gender-based sexual harassment. Number 1, installation in a business establishment a clearly visible warning signs. Okay, so they should have clearly and visibly visible ang mga warning signs nga to avoid, no? To avoid any acts that might possible committed, no? So there should be hotline numbers including the nearest police station in bold letters. Number 2, designation of at least one HO to receive GBSH complaints. Of course, there should be a complaint desk, no? Dapat once nga naay magreklamo, immediate ang action nga pagabuhaton. Okay? So, letter B, measures to address the occurrence of gender-based sexual harassment. Number 1, coordinate with local police authorities immediately after gender-based sexual harassment is reported. Now, if there is if ever simbako, no, na maka-encounter tag mga ngani, immediately we should report to the nearest police station. No, installation of functional CCTV cameras and CCTV footages shall be made available to victims. 3, making CCTV footage available when ordered by the court. Number 4, having a secure private area where the victim can narrate the events of gender-based sexual harassment or providing an online platforms for reporting. Develop protocols to be followed by the GBHS cases. Gender-based sexual harassment. Gender-based online sexual harassment. The acts that use information and communication technology in terrorizing and intimidating victims. True. Number 1, physical or psychological or emotional threats, unwanted sexual, misogynistic, transphobic, homophobic, and sexist remarks and comments online, whether publicly or through a direct and private messages. Number 2, invasion of victims' privacy through cyber stalking and incessant messaging. Number 3, upholding and sharing without consent of the victim any form of media that contains photos, voice, or video with sexual content. Number 4, any unauthorized recording and sharing of any of the victim's photos, videos, or information online. Number 5, impersonating identities of victims online. Number 6, posting lies about victim to harm their reputation. Or number 7, filing false abuse report to online platform to silent victims. Okay, so what are the penalty? The penalties for gender-based online sexual harassment: imprisonment of prison correctional in its medium period, or 2 years, 4 months, and 1 day to 4 years and 2 months imprisonment, or fine of 100,000 to 500,000 pesos, or both imprisonment and fine. Penalties if perpetrator is juridical person. License or franchise shall be automatically revoked. Persons liable shall be the officers, editor, or reporter in case of print media, station manager, editor, and broadcaster in case of broadcast media. Additional penalties to alien: deportation proceedings. Now, if the perpetrator is an alien, so there should be a deportation proceedings against him or her. That's all to my report, and thank you very much for listening, and mabuhay. Take care of us.
So good day everyone. To continue our discussion on Republic Act 11313, Road Safe Species Act, or also known as the Bawal Bastos Law. So when does the act become qualified? So when we say qualified, there is a element of the act that could elevate the offense into a severe penalty. So, what are those acts? No, what are those acts that become qualified? So first, if the act takes place in a common carrier or PUB, where the perpetrator is a driver and the offended party is a passenger. So, most likely mahitabo ni siya sa mga passenger jeepney wherein the driver take advantage of their passengers. And next is like the offended party is a minor. So we already know mga helpless man ng mga minor, no? Senior citizen, PWD, or a breastfeeding mother nursing is her child. Next, if the offended party is diagnosed with mental problem tending to impair consent. So, if the offended party is a mentally challenged. If the perpetrator is a member of a uniform personnel, uniform service, like PNP or AAP, and the act was perpetrated while the perpetrator was in uniform. If the act takes place in the premises of the government agency offering frontline services to the public and the perpetrator is a government employee. So, this may qualify kay the government itself is tasked to implement or to enforce the law instead of being a violator. So, gender-based sexual harassment at workplace. So, sa workplace, na ay mga certain sa law, na ay certain certain measures na ipa-implement sa mga workplace. So, kung sa man yung mga specific acts ani. So, usually kanang mga acts that conduct of sexual in nature. An act, a series of involving of any unwelcome sexual advances, request or demand for sexual favors of any sexual nature, whether done verbally, physically, or through use of technology such as text messaging or email, or through other forms of information and communication system that has or could have detrimental effect to the condition of the individual's employment or education, job performance, or opportunities. So usually, ang ma-involve ani yung mga supervisors, no? Company supervisors or employers prior to the application or their work, their supervisor would kuhaan sila og mga sexual advances, no? Para mo-demand sila og mga sexual favors in sexual advances in favor sa work opportunities or sa employment or sa grades sa mga for example sa mga students. So B, the conduct of sexual nature, other conduct based on sexual affecting dignity of a person which is unwelcome, unreasonable, and offensive to the recipient, whether done verbally, physically, or through text. So usually kanang mga magsensenta o mga sexual sexually in nature nga mga advances through mga subordinates, no? Nga mga offensive na kayo nga mga text messages or verbally or physically nimo nga gibuhat sa imuhang subordinates. Conduct that is unwelcome and pervasive and creates an intimidating, hostile, and humiliating environment for the recipient, provided that the crime gender-based sexual harassment may be committed between peers and those committed to the superior by the subordinates or teacher or by student or trainer by a trainee. So, workplace includes all sites, locations, spaces where work is being undertaken by the employee within outside the premises of the usual place of business or of the employer. So, the workplace being mentioned is not only enclosed in one location or a building, but anywhere where the work is undertaken. So what are the duties of the employers? So employers are mandated by law to disseminate or post in a conspicuous place the copy of the act in a workplace, provide measures to prevent gender-based sexual harassment in the workplace, create independent internal mechanism or a committee to investigate or address complaints of gender-based sexual harassment, develop and disseminate code of conduct or workplace policy. So the law mandates the employers to implement these conditions to make their employees aware of the law that gender-based sexual harassment is a violation that would lead to a criminal prosecution. So next, so roles of committee on decorum and investigation. 1. Adequately represent the management, the employees from the supervisory rank, the rank and file employee, and the union. 2. Designate a woman as the head, and not less than half of the members should be women. Be composed of members who should be impartial and not connected or related to the alleged perpetrator. Investigate and decide on the complaints within 10 days or less upon receipt thereof. Observe due process, protect the complainant from retaliation, and guarantee confidentiality to the great extent possible. So, the role of the committee on decorum and investigation, the law provides that the committee should be adequately represented by the management and the employees, and it should be led by a woman, and not less than half of its members should be a woman. So kinahanglan base jud ang women jud ang mo lead niya. They should be impartial to its to the both parties, and if ever one of the committee member who conducted investigation is related to the alleged perpetrator, one should be recuse him or herself from investigating party, from being the investigating party, to avoid any one para dili matented of na ay ingon of bias niya. Upon referral of that, upon receipt of the complaint, it should be immediately investigated, and the decision of the complaint must be made within 10 days or less, and must be observed the due process, and the complainant must be protected from retaliation, and the complaint should be confidential. So liability of employers. So non-implementation and not taking action of the reported gender-based sexual harassment committed in workplace. So the law would fine the employers who are failed to implement or failed to take action on the sexual harassment inside the workplace, and the victim shall not be precluded from instituting separate and independent action for damage and other affirmative relief. Aside from the company or the employers or the employer taking action, the victim shall also or can also look for other alternatives para nga ma-satisfy ang iyang complaint, makatake siya of action. So gender-based sexual harassment in educational and training institution. So what are the duties of the school heads or heads of training institution? So the same as in our workplace, they are also mandated to disseminate and provide measures, conducting information campaigns, orientation of the students, and create independent internal mechanism committee mo address sa mga gender-based sexual harassment niya, develop and disseminate code of conduct of school policies, and designate an office or person to receive complaint of sexual harassment. So there should be an office in schools or training institution that would handle any sexual harassment complaint. So liabilities of the school heads or heads of training institution, the same as the employers in the workplace, fine 5,000 to 10,000 for non-implementation, and failure to act on a reported gender-based sexual harassment is 10,000 to 15,000. And the same again shall not preclude for filing administrative case against the school head and appropriate disciplinary authority. So duties of the local government units. So the LGU shall bear primary responsibility in enforcing the provision under Article 1 of this Act. LGU shall have the following duties. So pass an ordinance which shall localize the applicability of the Act within 60 days of its effectivity. So the law mandates the LGUs to pass or to create an ordinance localizing the applicability of this gender-based sexual harassment, and then post it, disseminate and post it in conspicuous places, and provide measures to prevent gender-based sexual harassment in educational institutions, such as information campaign and anti-sexual harassment seminars. So the LGU should conduct a symposium or any information campaign with regards to the gender-based sexual harassment, and discourage and impose fines of this act on gender-based harassment. Create an anti-sexual harassment hotline, coordinate with the LG for implementation of the act. So the implementation of this act is an interagency, na involved, daghan ang gi-involved ng mga government agency para nga mo implement aning maong balaod. So establish referral system for complainants of gender-based sexual harassment in street and public spaces. Provide trainings on the law for the punong barangay and member of the lupong pamayapa for traffic enforcers under their jurisdiction and adapt training modules for concerned LGU personnel down to the barangay level. So, set up an anti-sexual harassment desk in barangay, cities, or municipalities, preferably staffed by women. So, BAW desk may be also serve as the anti-sexual harassment desk and the same shall be strengthened. Create mechanism for handling and documentation of complaints, including those in cases covered by katarungang pambarangay system. So, kinahanglan nga ang mga local barangays, mga barangay officials should be aware the LGU is tasked to make this barangay official aware of this law. So, the LGU is tasked to train the barangay officials. So, role of the ILG. So, have I told earlier na daghang mga government agencies nga na-involved to implement this law. No? So, the ILG. What are the roles of the ILG? So, the ILG inspecting LGUs if they have disseminated and posted to official spaces the copy of this act and corresponding ordinance. Conducting and disseminating surveys on studies on best practice of LGU implementing this act. Providing capacity building and training activities and build the capability of local government officials to implement this act in coordination with Philippine Commission on Women, the PCW, the Local Government Academy, and the Development Academy of the Philippines. Assisting LGU in localizing applicability of the law. So, mga duty sa LGU, no? They are tasked to supervise the LGUs if na-disseminate ba nila ang law o naka-create ba sila sa corresponding ordinance nga gitas sa ilaha. They have also to provide capability building and training activities. And so sa akong gikaingon nga interagency ang implementation sa ani nga balaod, ani nga Republic Act 113, no, the Bawal Bastos Law. So ang MMDA local units of the PNP through the WCPD so have the authority to apprehend perpetrators and enforce the law, and the ILG, the Philippine Commission on Women and Information and Communication Technology, they are responsible on overseeing the implementation and formulating policies. So ang MMDA o ang local PNP units deputize its enforcers to be the anti-sexual harassment enforcers. So, i-deputize ang mga PNP o ang MMDA. So, ang duties sa mga the duties of the anti-sexual harassment enforcers is to receive complaints and apprehend the perpetrator if caught in flagrante delicto. So kung makot of doing violating the law, so apprehend the perpetrator and bring the perpetrator to the nearest police station to face charges. Together with WCPD, keep the ledger of perpetrators for purposes of determining if the perpetrator is a first time or second or third time offender. So, na nga, usually sa police stations, blatter man doon naman tayo mga blatter box sa separate blatter box sa WCPD. So, sila may mukip sa record ani. And So those are the rules, no? The law gihumpungan dun no? Daghang agency nga gitask para nga ma-implement yun tungod kay because of the daghan nga kaso nga murag sa previous na nahitabo nga mga sexual advances sa mga kawano sa labi na sa mga kababayan. So with that, thank you very much and thank you for listening, and good day everyone.